Hello, Musto0063 back here to continue on with the Mega Man 11 Rubber Master Perfect runs. Thankfully the last stage didn't end up being too much of a blockade to my progress, and we can move on to the next one, which should be a real blast. As said last time, I will pick this intro at the start of every stage, but with my having already done a Let's Play, and with those being in separate videos, I'll put a link to them in the description. A reminder that I may not commentate all the time over these perfect runs, as I've similarly done with others, but more chime in to let you know about a screen that gave me trouble, or if there's a particular strategy for getting through an area that I think is worth sharing. So here's the first screen I messed up on. The strategy here should be to stick to the left-hand wall initially, because the fire server won't attack you from that far away, and you don't want to be dealing with him and the Sniper Joe at the same time. Simple enough. But that still didn't prevent me from jumping straight into one of the Sniper Joe's pellets on one occasion. Yeah, don't really know what the hell happened that go. And one outtake on this screen, on the later part is the two fire servers. Having to deal with two of them in such close proximity all the while, unless you backtrack a little to go kill it, having that tiny exploding enemy chasing you, can feel rather claustrophobic. Best advice would be to act quickly, but not recklessly here. That brings us to the Thrill Twins, which is kind of an annoying mid-boss actually, given how long you're going to have to spend fighting them, Buster only. It isn't that difficult once you've gotten its movement pattern sorted, and in particular know when it's going to speed up. It's just rather tedious and drawn out. One definite thing worth showing though is that however much you might be tempted to use little exploding enemies to damage the roller coasters, you'd be better off just killing them as soon as possible. Well, of course, if they do damage the boss, that is a bonus. Letting them linger on screen seems to be a surefire way to get yourself hit. I tried being clever and leaving them on screen, hoping I could use them to speed up the fight, and it did not go well. With that lesson well and truly learnt, I did not try doing so again, and as a result, I did only suffer the one outtake on this mid-boss. Just as with the beginning of the stage, a few simple screens to get through now, so a little way until the next trouble spot. Okay, this is what I would call the first awkward screen in the level. Not easy at all to get these fire servers to cooperate. Focusing on your attack on the left-hand one, and more or less ignoring the right-hand one, seems to work out pretty well, but it's easy to come across it there. And here we have another annoying replaced enemy, this Sniper Joe, right before the exploding platform that will send you careering into the spikes above, is horribly positioned. You're going to have to kill that thing quickly, and not get caught out by its pellet shots. Something I failed to do on 2 occasions. So this was the last part of the level to give me any trouble. I mean, it's the second to last screen after all. And I seem to have trouble with the middle section, so you'll see me slide rather strangely on the face of it, there. That was the trick of the fire server on the far right to shoot earlier that otherwise would, as what I was finding was that in just going purely gung-ho, that fire server shot at a slightly different angle, and was infuriatingly accurate. Not too thrilled about having 2 runs in there, I must say. Nor was I best pleased about messing up on Blast Man, although thankfully it was just the once. I'm fine with him doing this attack, and I think where I'm positioned on screen does seem to quote-unquote almost force him to do this, rather than the other similar attack where he loads bombs from the ground, though I'm not 100% sure on that front. Either way, it's this lob bombs from the ground attack that caught me out. He seems to do it immediately after the homing bomb attack, where he traverses across the screen twice, but, and again, maybe thanks to my position on screen, not at other times. And that's absolutely fine by me. For me at least, that attack is much harder to avoid than the one where he fires bombs at me from the air. And of course the same applies when it's in power gear mode. Bombs from the air please, rather than the ground. Do that, and his power gear mode isn't really any more difficult to deal with. So, overall, this isn't too difficult a fight, and that's even if he were to use the attack I'd rather he didn't. After all, I did dodge it just fine the 2 times he did during this run. So, as before, no transition from Let's Play the Perfect Run, but do please enjoy the awesome 8-bit stage music before we get to that difficulty analysis. So this didn't turn out all that bad, with a lot of the experiences and feelings I had for Block Stage applying here too. It took me 40 minutes to get the successful perfect run on Blast Man, so just marginally less time than the 45 minutes I spent on Block Man. And that's probably down to the fact that I messed up one fewer time with only 10 outtakes, although one was on the Robot Master. It's once again a case of no one section level being especially difficult to get through unscathed, to the degree that I'm going to get caught out again and again, but there are definitely a few sections that will trip me up every now and then. The first of those areas is the one with the 2 fire servers on opposite sides of the bottom of the screen, and a bunch of Incident spikes in between them. Luring them to fire away from you and then having to dodge the oil tank, or tanks should you try to kill both, in such a tight area can be a little tricky. Though I absolutely would recommend only bothering to attack the one on the left hand side of the screen, as that's the only one blocking your path to the next screen. That will save you from worrying about a second oil tank being flung in your direction. Second of those is the area with the Sniper Joe positioned on a platform below you, but to actually attack it, with uncharged buster shots anyway, you have to drop down to its level, triggering the timer on the platform you'll be landing on to shoot up into the spikes above you. It feels like you have very little time to kill the Sniper Joe and progress past the rising platform, and you have to deal with it in close proximity, so you need to have a good handle on the timing for when it's going to shoot at you. Rather easy to panic and mess up here. I also think it appropriate to mention the second to last screen where you trigger all the detonations and the platform start exploding. There's a moment where you ideally want to fake out one of the fire servers to shoot before you actually progress. Just purely going as fast as you can doesn't actually quite seem to work, as I explained, but your natural instinct is definitely to do so. Caught me out a couple of times as I hadn't quite twigged or remembered this, though I'd like to think it wouldn't do so anymore, so it's worth a mention, but I wouldn't lump this screen together with the other 2 I just highlighted. Other level outtakes were just down to general clumsiness, or in the case of the Thrill Twins mid-boss, me trying to be too clever for my own good. The one outtake I had there was sufficient enough to get me to destroy little exploding enemies as soon as possible, rather than try to deliberately blow them back to damage the coasters. Lesson learnt. As for Blast Man, I generally find him to be relatively straightforward, though I do think him harder than either Tundra or Block. I think I have a decent strategy in terms of my positioning, looking like it makes Blast jump up and fire bombs downwards, rather than lobbing them from the ground, much more often than not. The former attack I find much easier to dodge than the latter, and it was that attack that did for me on the one screw-up I had on Blast. His attack where he fires the delayed explosion bombs can take some getting used to, But again, I like my strategy of luring and faking out the immediate explosion bombs and sliding from one side of the screen to the other to avoid the delay bombs. And honestly, his Power Gear mode isn't that much trickier to deal with than his normal form, the only difference being that his bombs are bigger. All his attacks and movements are identical. So yeah, not that tricky a fight. I'm a little disappointed I did get hit that one time, albeit an attack I find the most awkward, but not massively so. 3 Robot Master stages in and still feeling pretty happy. The stage didn't feel like it took too long, and much with Blockman, the fact that no one section in the stage consistently tripped me up meant I wasn't getting that frustrated with it. I feel like I keep comparing Blast to Block, but when the stats above are all so similar, and these were successive stages, how can I not? So, as with Block, I rate Blastman stage as a 3 out of 10. Nothing in the level consistently tripped me up, I suffered no more than 2 outtakes on only one screen, and even the screens I went into detail on previously aren't overly difficult to negotiate. And the Robot Master is not that difficult either, being a pretty fun fight for me actually. So things have obviously progressed nicely up to this point, but at the time this did mark the end of what I felt were going to be the easier stages. I therefore wonder what kind of impact the next stage will have on me. Tune in next time to find out. Cheerio.